See if I can get my announcer voice. Why is it so dark now? What happened? Oh no. Alright. Well, this video is sponsored by Walmart.com. This is actually a Walmart.com box that I ordered, and I used it to ship all the way to Vietnam here. So let's see if we can get into a lighter area. Sorry about how dark it is. It's actually lighter over here. So, and thanks to, I want to make it a list of video game sponsors. So I did work officially for Nintendo in their special projects department for a while, and in the warehouse, and in one of like the satellite offices, just in a really weird location. It's like next to actually where Xbox games are developed in the Redmond world headquarters of Microsoft, like right across the street. You can see Microsoft buildings. Now I worked for a couple other companies in Redmond too, here and there, but I'd like to be official contractor at Nintendo. And one of my projects has always been trying to help make all the ROMs that you see online, you know, get sponsorships and make them official, so people can freely use them and play them and enjoy them, especially those who are already paid customers who purchased the original cartridges back in the 80s and 90s, like I did. And then those who are developers who are trying to learn how to code games like that and then recode them for their own purposes. Like you want to put your own family in a game, or change kind of like the style of the game a little, or just make a funny version of the game, or add new options to it, and then share that code. I'm really a fan of sharing source code and having open source code available to people who need it. So this video can be sponsored by Capcom, the makers of Resident Evil series, but more famously like the Street Fighter series, of course, which I like more than Resident Evil. Because Resident Evil, I guess in the name it shows it, but it's so dark now. The first game, it looked kind of cheesy and fake, and it wasn't as gory. Now it's like so sadistic, and some like Resident Evil 7 has like banned game footage and stuff, and it's just horrible stuff that I wish I had never seen. And I hope if I can ever reprogram that game quickly, I can make like a more lighthearted version. And I think games stories reflect our real lives, and it can bring out the best in people if it's presented that way. Like more hopeful options and more reasonable options, and something new and interesting, something less lethal too. Um, and Well, this video can also be sponsored by Sega. I used to love them, especially Sonic the Hedgehog. The first time I played it wasn't at a system in somebody's home, but it was actually at like a Sears, I think, or Toys R Us. And the Sears I went to was in Anchorage, Alaska. There was like a second floor. The first floor is like lawnmowers, hardware, some clothes. And the second floor is all nothing but clothes. But there was one little section near children's clothes, I guess, that would have like a video game system set up. Sometimes it'd be a Nintendo. I think once it was a Dreamcast, which was pretty cool to ever see a CD based, 3D game system. I grew up when things were still with the NES and Super NES. So Sega and Genesis and the Mega Drive, which I've only seen in videos on YouTube. I've never seen one in real life, or I have maybe, but I've never actually played it. And who else? I'm trying to group 10 sponsors together. And by let's see, who can we pick? Squaresoft. You know, the people who and Equinox, or Enix or something. Call me Equinox. Um, the uh, the publishing game company that makes the Final Fantasy series. And I haven't caught up. You know, the first one I played, I think, was seven, and I never got a chance because all my friends never had, and I never had the access to games. I always wanted to go to the video game store all the time. I just never had the chance. I was too busy with mind-numbing homework, which I wish I knew how to sell back then. Like I would have bought a scanner and sold and taught that crap and tutored online if I knew it was so big in the future. But at the time, we all kind of laughed at YouTube. We didn't think it would get anywhere. We think it'd be, like a bankrupt company that by the end of the year. And then, so what is the other company? There's some biblical games that are cool too. There's actually an app now that's, we can go with Playrix. They uh they are the owner of the publishing company of one game I play on Android called Township. So a lot of games in my head, so it took me a while to remember that. But that's a pretty cool game. It looks cool. It's just some little things that bother me, like the loading screen in the beginning is a little too long. So I really wish everybody would preload their games and then not try to overload it with extra stuff at the beginning, like all this updates and everything has like dictated, like mandatory before it starts, which is sad. But sometimes you haven't even enjoyed the content before that, and then it just lags your stuff. Some is some of the way the software and the hardware is too. By default, it doesn't run smoothly sometimes. So it overheats my units too. So I wish I could solve that easily. Um, I found one way on Windows to do, but I haven't found it on Android that you can actually slow down your main central processor and power it down a little, and that helps. But that's not the only solution, not the perfect solution. And then Scopy, which actually I first played, I think, Wheel of Fortune, the Android, newer Android. So this is like at least Android 6, I think, or 5 and above game, which is pretty nice. Though I played other versions of Wheel of Fortune before that for like Nintendo 64 and stuff, and it's interesting to see those old versions too, because the puzzles are all different and the graphics are quite different too. Um, I think on the online Android newer one, you don't see Vanna White, but the old ones you always see Vanna White. And you go through different cities. Like there's little images of like New York and Tokyo and stuff, so that's kind of cool. Um, and they also do another one, which I have hundreds of videos about, Star Trek Fleet Command. Once in a while I get back in, but my main hardware is down. I really wish I had everything, like all the base, like my own home. Um, because living with relatives is great, but it's it's really hard to work. And a lot of stuff happens when you're living together with anybody, even just one other person. Um, and then so with Star Trek Fleet Command, so check that out. There's also Star Trek Timelines. I'm not sure who makes that game. Um, and then Fallout series I like because of the story, but I don't like the violence in that game, to be honest. There's too much of that option. I hope people mod those games and redevelop them to have smarter, more reasonable options, more fun options, more humane options. I'm trying to remember who makes. I think Interplay was the original company that made the Fallout game series, like one and Fallout Tactics, and then Fallout. I think there was another Fallout game that was from back in the '90s. Um, but then the 3D games were made by Bethesda Studios. That's another sponsor. I guess we're up to 7 or 8 now. I'll just throw two more in and call it good. And then, what other company are we thinking about? Wish I had written out a full list here. There's the Need for Speed games, which I've always thought about. Those were fun the first time I played them. And then the new game that's coming out. I forgot the publisher, but we'll find it out. Cyberpunk. I've watched videos of that. Then the remakes are interesting. So you got remakes of Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil 2 and 3. And I'm not sure who makes those games too, actually. Because Capcom made like the original ones that used to be on the CD for the original PlayStation that I actually rented. I don't think I had the director's cut. I think that was a little different. And the original one had like a director's cut and then just a regular one. So there was like some edits to it. It was like improved graphics, and I think like you had some other special side game that was different. And then Resident Evil 2, the first time I had the game, I wasn't able to buy it. I couldn't find it cheap at the time. I didn't have a credit card or online account. I wish I had known about that stuff back then. It would have been probably easier to find a better deal. There was a video game place that rented out video games, and it was kind of costly. Like the price I paid to rent it was how much you can buy it now, or even 2 copies now. And I think online you can download a demo of the game, and you can watch full gameplay videos for free now. Before to watch or read about gameplay, you would have to buy a very expensive magazine like GamePro for like $10 an issue. You were paying full price, or sometimes 20 for like PC Gamer. And the subscription was cheaper, but it was still a lot of money, especially if you're talking about like a decade of those. A lot of space too, where you store it all. Those are valuable, but I just don't have like a warehouse to put that crap in. And I remember renting the game, but I didn't get to play the game very long. Like my PlayStation I had overheated, and I had my cousin from Norway come over, and he wasn't really into that game. He didn't seem to be really into video games at all. So he wasn't much help. He just like kind of sat there. Plus, we had a language barrier. My main language has always been English, and his main language is like Norwegian. So we couldn't understand each other or communicate much. So that's a list of kind of the stories of some of the games I've played and some of the sponsors. So thank you for watching. Somebody in my family's calling me. We'll see you later. Please like and subscribe and comment to this video. And copy and paste it and use it anywhere you want. So thanks. Bye.